It's only Karo who has said she has finished. How about the other students? Juma says yes. And I'm so happy because 38 right now is quite a good number. Thank you very much. I think now most of us have cleared putting down this question. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is a question of a key limiting factor. Key limiting factor is a great question for you. Key limiting factor is a great question for you. What you're supposed to do under key limiting factor, number one, how have I known it's a key limiting factor? Look at this condition given here. Total labor hours that are available are how many? They're only 5,000. The total labor hours available are 5,000. So in total, we have 5,000 labor hours which are available. Now, but how many do we need? So the available are 5,000. How about the labor hours which are needed? The labor hours which are needed, my friends, if you look at this, you can see the quantity demanded. And then, of course, we have labor hours. Sorry, this is supposed to be labor. Please change this. This is supposed to be labor hours per unit. Labor hours per unit. So you can see the quantity that we have to produce, and you can see the labor hours per unit that we need. So then the total that is needed will be 2 times 1,000, 2 times 1,000, plus, in this case here, 3 times 2,000, 3 times 2,000, plus 1 hour times 1,500. Could you kindly give me the number of hours which are needed? Somebody with your calculator there. How many hours do we need? How many hours do we need? How many hours do we need? Somebody tells me we need 9,500. 9,500. So you can see we need much more than we have. We only have 5,000. We only have 5,000 and we need 9,500. So there is a condition, there is a resource that will be able to prevent us from rising higher. There is a resource that will prevent us from producing this maximum quantity which is expected from us. So then, of course, it's a question of scarcity. It's a question of scarcity. It's a question of scarcity. And therefore, it is a question of what here? Limiting factor. And therefore, it's a limiting factor what here? Question. It's a limiting factor question. And if it is a limiting factor question, then what are the basic steps? The basic steps, number one, what you need to do is to calculate the CM. You calculate the CM. CM stands for what in full? CM stands for what in full, somebody? CM stands for contribution margin. You calculate contribution margin. That is the first step. Calculate the contribution margin for each product. Each product. Number two, calculate the contribution margin. Calculate the contribution margin ratio. Calculate the contribution margin ratio. Number three, you rank the products. And then number four, you develop the optimal. You develop the optimal production schedule. The optimal production schedule. You develop the optimal production schedule. You develop the optimal production schedule. 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 So I've been able to give you 4 basic steps. Have we been able to write down those steps? Somebody tell me yes. If you've been able to put down the 4 basic steps, tell me yes. Then he says, yeah, thank you very much. So we shall start right away with the first step. Is there any good student who is able to remember the formula of getting contribution margin? Is there any student who can remember the formula of getting contribution margin? The formula of getting contribution margin? Yes, Generous, please go ahead and give us the formula. Step 2 is not clear. Step 2, they want us to calculate the contribution. Actually, it's the spelling perhaps you're talking about. They want us to calculate the contribution margin ratio, contribution margin ratio, contribution margin ratio, contribution margin ratio. The contribution margin ratio is what they want us to compute in step number 2. And you can see very many students who have been able to give me the formula of getting, who have been able to give me the formula of getting step number 1, the formula of getting contribution margin. What they have done is to tell me that to calculate contribution margin, we normally take selling price minus variable cost. Selling price minus variable cost. So then could you kindly do me a favor? We have 3 products here, A, B, C. Could you kindly give me the contribution margin of each one of them? Remember, you're taking the price, selling price, minus the variable cost. Selling price minus the variable cost. Could you kindly give me that? So like A, what is the contribution margin of A? So A, I'm being told is 4. How about boy? Boy, I'm being told it's 4 as well. How about cow? Cow, I'm being told it's 4 as well. 4, 4, 4, 4. Thank you very much. So after that, ladies and gentlemen, this is step number 1. Step number 2, go ahead and give us what we call the contribution margin ratio. Is there anybody who is able to remember the contribution margin ratio formula? Contribution margin ratio formula. Is there anybody who can remember the contribution margin ratio formula? Contribution margin ratio formula. Contribution margin ratio formula. Yes, that's Benaziri. Thank you very much. So contribution margin ratio formula, from what Benaziri is giving me, contribution margin ratio is the ratio between contribution margin and price. Contribution margin ratio is contribution margin over price. It's contribution margin over price. It's contribution margin over price. So then what you're supposed to do, you'll come and talk over, for example, if it is A. So A, you will take the contribution margin there is 4. 4 you divide by the selling price of the product. So 4 divided by 10. Here you'll come and talk of 4 divided by 8. Here we'll come and talk of the contribution margin of C is 4 divided by the selling price of C, which is 6. Could you kindly give me these figures? Could you kindly give me these figures? The contribution margin ratio figures is all that I need from you. Is all that I need from you. The contribution margin ratio formula is contribution margin over price. So the contribution margin ratio for A, I'm being told is 0.4. For B, I'm told is 0.5. 0.5. For C, what do we have there? Somebody see? 0. What here, somebody? 0.67. 0.67. 0.67. 0.67. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it has now come to my realization that I gave you this wrong step 2. Wrong step 2. Wrong step 2. Step 2 is wrong. Step 2 is wrong. Step 2 is wrong. I was imagining the steps of what here? Our graph. Our graph, sorry for step 2. Step 2, what you're supposed to do, this is wrong. This is pretty wrong. Step number 2, what you're supposed to do is to calculate. You calculate the CM. The CM, step number 2, calculate the CM per unit of scarce resource. Per unit of the scarce resource. You calculate the CM per unit of the scarce resource. Our scarce resource here is hours. So it should be CM per hour. It should be CM per hour. Sorry for that. Sorry for that. And you'll allow me to go back a little bit if that is the case. Sorry for that. Of course, you can rub, and as you rub like that, please cast me a little bit. Cast me a little bit. I allow you to cast me a little bit. So the CM here is 4. We have here 4. We have C, which is 4. Are you able to see the hours? Are you able to see the labor hours needed for each product? Labor hours needed for each product in this question. Labor hours needed for each product. In this question, B tells me for A, we have 2. Is that okay? For A, we have 2. I rubbed mine. I rubbed mine. 231. 231. Sorry for that. 231. The labor hours for each product. 231. Thank you very much. So please go ahead and now give us the CM per hour. The CM per hour you are dividing, you take 4 divided by 2. 4 divided by 2. 4 divided by 2. 4 divided by 2, we are dividing. So this gives us 4 divided by 2, which will be 2. This is 4 divided by 3, which will give us 1 point. 1 point. I ask you to cast me a little bit and you forgive me very fast. We move on. We move on. We move on. So this is 1 point what here, somebody? 33. This is 4 divided by 1. 4 divided by 1 gives me what figure? Somebody there gives me 4. 4 divided by 1 gives me 4. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, I would want you to very fast move now to the third step, which is quite an easy one. The third step, they would want us in this case here to rank the products on the basis of this step 2. The product that has got the highest CM per hour is the most profitable given that scarcity. The product with the highest CM per hour takes position number 1. So position number 1, if you are keen enough, which product in this case here will take position 1? Which product will take position 1 using the parameters that we have here, position 1? So in this case here, they are right. They're telling me that position 1 will be taken by C. This is 1. And then this takes number 2. And then this takes number who? Number 3 lastly. This takes number 3 lastly. This takes number 3 lastly. Ladies and gentlemen, having done this nicely, having done this concept this nicely, now we can go to the last step. The last step is all about the optimal production schedule. The last step is all about the optimal production schedule. So the optimal production schedule, then what do we have here? We have C, we have, or rather the products, we start with the products here. So the products, we have, as per the rankings, we have C, we have A, and then we have got B like that. Before you write, please allow me to display this table so that I can even know the breadth of the size of the page that you need. Allow me, first of all, to just do a display. So the next thing that I'll do here, I'll give you time to write. I'll come and mention very fast here the quantity demanded. The quantity demanded. The quantity of cow, which was demanded. You guys, fortunately, you have the question. Please give me the quantity of product C that was demanded before you start writing. The quantity of C that was demanded, 1,500. Thank you very much. How about A? A demanded. A that was demanded. A that was demanded. A that was demanded is 1,000. How about boy demanded? Boy demanded. Quantity of boy demanded, 2,000. 2,000. Ladies and gentlemen, I would want you to listen to me before you start writing. As I would want to work really to meet the quantity that has been demanded out there, as I would want to work to satisfy the quantity demanded out there, I know that there is a hurdle. There is a hurdle to be climbed. There is a problem. There is a resource that is quite scarce called the labor hours. So here I want to create a column where we capture the labor hours, where we capture the labor hours. So the labor hours that we are going to utilize, the labor hours that you're going to utilize using this quantity demanded. Fortunately for labor hours, we know the labor hours per unit, don't we? We know labor hours per unit, the labor hours to be consumed. For cow, how many labor hours are we talking about for cow? It is 1. For cow, we have 1. For the labor hours are 2. For boy, the labor hours are 3. So I would want to know if I'm to produce the total quantity that has been demanded so that I don't disappoint, so that I don't disappoint any customer out there. How many hours will I need in total? How many hours will I need in total? For cow, the number of hours here will be 1,500. For A, the number of hours here will be 2,000. For boy, the number of hours here will be 6,000. So as I give you a chance of writing, then how many hours do we need in total? How many hours do we, the marriage tells me it is 9,500 9,500. 9,500. These are the total hours. These are the total hours which are needed. So as I give you some time to write, I'll come and compare these two hours, which are what here, which are available. Hours that are available. How many labor hours do we have which are available? Labor hours which we have which are available. If you're able to remember the question from up there, the labor hours that we have that are available, the Maris is telling me that those hours are supposed to be 5,000. That those hours are supposed to be 5,000. Is there anybody who is able to remember the total number of hours we were given? Number of hours that were given in total? Yes, 5 𝐾 rows, 5,000, 5,000. So are you able to see some scarcity? Are you able to see some scarcity from the word go? Are you able to see some scarcity from the word go? Yes. Why? Because just like, for instance, how you could go to a supermarket as a proud father, you go to a supermarket with your 3 children like myself here, ask those children here to go to the supermarket shelves and pick their own things, and then they put these things in big trolleys like that. And then, ladies and gentlemen, you get yourself in this case here at the counter up there. There is that lady who is smiling at you, thinking that this particular man has really come to promote us. The purchase is big from the look of things. So that young lady punches the machine. Ta 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 ta. 9,500 is needed. And then when you check your wallet, you realize you've got how much here? You've got only 5,000. So in that particular case, what will you do? And remember, you've got some 3-year-olds who believe that their father is the strongest man in the world. So if Lisa wasn't there, let's be realistic. If Lisa wasn't there, return goods, even if it means those young kids will cry like nothing. We have to return goods. Goods to be returned in this case will be worth what here? Will be worth the deficit. The goods returned will be worth the deficit here. So in this case here, these are the deficit hours. So for our case, we need to decide out of these quantities here, we must return some books, or rather some goods, unfortunately. We must return some goods, unfortunately. So then which order are we going to use to return our goods here? Should we return goods belonging here in C first? Ladies and gentlemen, you guys are bright. We'll always start returning goods, which happens to be the worst ranked product. You return goods of the worst ranked product. So in this case here, we come under strike. We return goods from B. So in this case here, the hours deficit, nikianza kunyonga, naanza kunyonga from the worst ranked. So the worst ranked here, fortunately, the worst ranked, I can see we have 6,000 hours. 6,000 hours. So I want to recover the 4,500 hours from here moving upwards. But fortunately, the 6,000 hours here for product B, they are able to meet fully this 4,500 deficit. So I'll come and say minus 4,500. So minus 4,500, that leaves how many hours here for B? Caroline is telling me 1,500 for B. Meaning, ladies and gentlemen, because I've been able to cancel these resources, I've been able to reduce the hours, I must also reduce this quantity. Right? So I'll come and say, let this new quantity be B. And if the new quantity is B, then what are we saying here? We are saying that 3B should be equal to 1,500, should be able to fit into this. Therefore, how about B? Then B will be 1,500 divided by what here? 3. 500, like that. 500 like that. 500. Ladies and gentlemen, I would want you to listen and listen to me very carefully. Please listen and listen to me very carefully. So what will happen here is that at the end of the day, I'm communicating some important information to my examiner. I'm telling my examiner that the production quantities, what we shall produce, the production quantities here, what we shall produce will be the carb. For C, I'm not interfering with this 1500 at all. For C, 1500. How about A? I'm not interfering with A. It's 1,000 units. How about boy? Boy, now we have to produce the new quantity, which is what here? Which is 500, like that. Which is 500, like that. Which is 500, like that. Now, I would want you to do me a favor. I would want you to do me a favor, even if it means we are doing this at the back of our books. I would want us to look at a scenario where the hours available were 3,000 only. Where the hours available were 3,000 only. If the hours available are 3,000, 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 what would have happened in terms of production quantities? If the hours available are 3,000, what would have happened in terms of production quantities? Could you kindly help me? Even if it's at the back of your books, take this seriously. Please, at the back of your books, please, at the back of your books, take this very seriously. Take this very seriously. A is 1,000. A is 1,000. A is 1,000. Okay. So remember, if I could just delete this a little bit, every other thing remains. Every other thing remains, including this B 2,000 at 3. Right? Now, this is what is going to change. This is what is going to change. This is what is going to change. So in this case here, needed 9,500, available now 3,000. So the deficit will be 6,500. Deficit will be 6,500. So these deficit hours are the ones we are recovering upwards. These are the ones we are recovering upwards. So the one that I have here can only give me 6,000, so minus 6,000, right? And then I would want to recover in total. I would want to recover in total 6,500. So there is 500, which we have to continue recovering from up. So minus 500 like that. So then this will be 1,500. This will be 0. Meaning, ladies and gentlemen, that I need to do some chopping here. It means that A, I have to recalculate this because I've altered, I've affected, I've changed the hours of A. So I have to come and say, let the new quantity there to be A. The same case with B. So the new quantity of B will be B here. So please now come and use your equations. So you're saying A times 2, A times 2, A times 2 here equals 1,500, implying that A will be 750. And then, of course, we are aware here that B times 3 equals 0, which will be what here, somebody implying that B equals who? B equals 0, because 0 divided by 3 is 0. And therefore, the optimal quantities, the optimal quantities that we have there, the optimal quantity that we have there will be optimal quantities. The optimal quantities that we have, the optimal quantity that we have is C equals 1,500. We have A equals 750. And then we have now boy equals what here? 0. Like that. Boy is 0. Boy is 0. And I'm so sure, ladies and gentlemen, that that is something that you would have very easily obtained. That is something that you would have very easily gotten yourselves. Right? So is that concept home and clear? Is the concept home and clear? Is the concept home and clear? Is the concept home and clear? Kabisa, okay. Great. So the only thing perhaps we need to look at is a situation where, let's go back to where we began from. Let's go back to where we began from. Let's go back to this optimal schedule. The optimal schedule. Let's go back to this optimal schedule. Let's go back to this optimal schedule. The first optimal schedule that I gave you, the first optimal schedule that I actually, it is this one. Now, assuming the fixed cost of the farm, assuming the fixed cost of the farm is Kenya shillings 8,000. You'll be required here to determine number one, the profit of the farm, and then number two, the break-even point. We shall overcome. So here it is. Now you have given a recommendation as an accountant. As an accountant, you are given a recommendation. You have given a recommendation that they need to produce the units like this. And then now somebody takes this thing a little bit further and tells you the fixed cost of the farm is Kenya shillings 8,000. So then you are required here to determine, number one, the profit of the farm, and then number two, the break-even point. And then I don't know whether there is anybody who has got a question from the revision kit, that has got a key limiting factor concept, a question from the revision kit that has got a key limiting factor concept. If you can see one, please throw that question to us through WhatsApp. Take a photo of that, throw the question to us through WhatsApp. And then, of course, to help the ilk of faith and the ilk, what you need to do is to take a snapshot of this question that we've just done, and then you share it with us through WhatsApp. That way will make Faith to stop crying. I can see Faith is crying. I need students who are able to do things very fast. Is there a student who has been able to see that question, a question with a limiting factor concept in the revision kit and shared with us on WhatsApp? Do we have any other student or another student who has been able to take a snapshot of this question and shared with us on WhatsApp? Question and answers, and Akaru is saying, it doesn't matter whether your handwriting is very poor, it doesn't really matter. That's not our business, so long as it's legible. Purity says, check June 2010, question 1, boy. I don't have my revision kit here, Purity. How I wish you can just send it to us through WhatsApp. How I wish you can just send it to us through WhatsApp, through WhatsApp. Now, let's do this question together. Ladies and gentlemen, remember that for us to be able to get profit, how do you normally get profit? Profit basically is CMX minus what here, somebody? Minus fixed cost. Thank you very much. So then what I'll need to do is to come and write down the contribution margins of these products. Contribution margins of these products. So like what was the contribution margin of C? What is the contribution margin of C? Contribution margin of C. Are they able to remember the contribution margins? 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 So here we have 4, right? Yes, all of them actually were 4, 4, 4. And therefore, if I'm to use my formula, then this will be 4 times 1,500 plus 4 times 1,000 plus 4 times 500. Remember, I'm going to sell these quantities that I produce. Minus the farm's fixed cost, which is what here? Which is 8,000. Minus the farm's fixed cost, which is 8,000. Minus the farm's fixed cost, which is 8,000. So then could you kindly give us a figure there? Are you able to give us that profit? So the Maris gives us a figure of what here? 4,000. 4,000 Kenya shillings. 4,000 Kenya shillings. 4,000 Kenya shillings. 4,000 Kenya shillings. Thank you very much. How about number 2? How about number 2, where they want us to get something very easy, where they want us to ascertain the break-even point? Can I give you 1 minute to try giving us the break-even point for this question? Break-even point for this question. Can I give you 1 minute to try it out? Break-even point for this question. Can I give you 1 minute to try it out? Nobody's saying yes. Nobody's saying no, which is very dangerous for me because you're not able to communicate. Yeah, I can see what Stanley Modama has told us. Break-even point should be fixed cost. Fixed cost over CM. Modama, 1 point of correction. These are 3 products. So we have to talk of W what here, somebody, ACM. So now the question will be, how do we get the weights? Remember, weights are supposed to be sales mix proportions. So the weights, are we supposed to use these production quantities or we go back to the demanded quantities? To simplify your work, remember, you are only able to sell what you have produced. Not unless you're a thief, you're only able to sell what you produce. So I will be able to make use of these production quantities, the ones that we have here, to get what here? My sales proportions. To get my sales proportions. Okay. Nobody's talking to me tonight, this evening. Nobody's talking to me at all. No one is talking to me at all. No one is talking to me at all. Pata potea, pata potea, pata potea. So then what I will need to do is to come here and first of all, ascertain my weights. So come here and ascertain our weights here. So our weights, ladies and gentlemen, this, if you add this is 2,000, 3,000. So 3,000. So then this will be 1,500 over 3,000. This will be 1,000 over 3,000. This will be 500 over 3,000. We can decide to do away with that, two zeros like that. And then fortunately, our CMs here were the same, 4,444. What a coincidence. A coincidence. So even the weighted average really will not be different. Even the weighted average will not be different. Yes. And then remember, is there anybody who is able to remember the formula of getting WACM? Is there anybody who is able to remember the formula of getting WACM? Is there anybody who is able to remember the formula of getting WACM? Is there anybody who is able to remember the formula of getting WACM? Nope, 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 nope. This is all about just attaching the weights. Yes, it's all about just attaching the weights. So take the weight of product 1, CM1, plus weight 2, CM2, plus weight 3, CM3. Just attach the weights. So weight 1 is 15 over 30 times CM1, which is 4, plus 10 over 30 times 4, plus 5 over 30 times 4. Could you kindly give us a figure? Yeah. Which still remains 4, because you know when you are averaging the same. But it's not just like how you can take this divided by 3. You get the same answer. So 4 like that. And then now once I have this, it's not lost on me that what they wanted me to give them is the break-even point. So break-even point, which will be fixed cost over what here, somebody? WACM. Fixed cost over WACM. So the fixed cost, they gave us a figure of 8,000 all over 4, which gives me 2,000 like that. Which gives me 2,000 like that. Great. Thank you very much. I do believe this has been quite a good reminder to all of us. I don't know whether there is anybody who has been able to retrieve that June 2010. The June 2010 question, is there anybody who has been able to get it from the revision kit or any other place, or we assume that this kind of a question will not be coming in our exams? Can we assume that this kind of a question will not be coming in our exams? Can we make that kind of an assumption? Is there anybody who has been able to get that question of June 2010? So I'm looking at nobody has gotten it. Nobody has gotten it. Yes, June 2011, question 4B. Your role is to simply take a snapshot of this question and send it to us. That's your role. Just take a photo of that question and send it to us. Anybody who has been able to send to us that question? Yes. Purity has sent the question to us. Lengo Limited. Are you able to see that question? There is this group. Yes. Actually, there are now two questions. Now there are two questions. Now there are two questions. Purity, your question is not complete. Please. Yes. Yes. Please go through that question. Please go through that question. So it reads, Lengo Limited manufactures 3 products, namely A, B, and C. They've given us the data there. I can see the selling prices. I can see the selling prices. I can see the selling prices. So selling price for A, I can see the selling prices. So we have here A, B, C. I can see the selling prices. So the prices. So A is 250, 320, and then we have 460. And then I can see the variable overhead. I can see the variable overhead. I can see the variable overhead. The variable overhead is 16, 20, 28. 16, 20, 28. This was a very good question, a crazily good question. We have labor installation, labor installation. Labor installation, we have 24, 32, 24, 32, and then 44, 44. And then we have labor manufacturing. Labor manufacturing. So labor manufacturing, what do we have there? We have 40, 40, we have 56, and 70, and 70. And then additional information, labor installation is scarce. Is scarce. They have given us a maximum of 25,000 hours. A maximum of 25,000 hours. And then the rate here, the rate of labor installation is Kenya shillings 2 per hour. It's Kenya shillings 2 per hour. And then they have given us demand. They have given us here demand. A equals demand. A is 5,000. A is 5,000. B is 3,000. Is it 3 or 8? I'm not so sure. 8,000. And then cow is 18,000. Please, somebody confirm these figures. Remember, this column is in form of Kenya shillings, Kenya shillings, Kenya shillings, Kenya shillings. Somebody confirm these figures, and then they need us to do something very easy. They need us required to give them the optimal production schedule. 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 So I'm waiting to, the rate per hour, I'm being told that the rate per hour is 8. The rate per hour, I'm being told the rate per hour, labor hour. The rate of labor installation. Remember, we've got two types of labor. We have got labor installation and labor manufacturing. So somebody is just reminding us that the labor installation is how much here is 8 per hour. Please change that. Please change that. Is there any other thing that you guys are not in agreement with? $2,000, $3,000, $1,800. The demand. The demand. KK says the demand is 2,000. The demand is 2,000. And then boy is 3,000. Boy is 3,000. And then now the last one, C, is 1,800. Is 1,800. Thank you very much for those corrections so very fast. Ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen. Have they given us fixed cost in this question? You know, I was just picking, I was just cherry picking. I never wanted to read everything. Have they given us fixed cost in this question? Fixed cost of 450, yeah? Yeah, please write somewhere there. Fixed cost is 450,000. So they would want me to do a profit statement. So no problem with that. So, ladies and gentlemen, the first thing that I'm supposed to know is that they have told me that labor installation is scarce. So it's a key limiting factor question. It's a key limiting factor question. However, so many students in this semester were not able to get this question right because they forgot to give us something very important. They forgot to give us labor installation hours. They forgot to give us labor installation hours because whatever we have here is labor installation cost, Kenya shillings cost. So could you kindly tell me, what do you think will I do to be able to give us labor installation hours? What do you think shall we do to be able to get the labor installation hours? What do you think shall we do to be able to get labor installation hours? Now listen and listen to me very well. Yeah, times 8, no, B, no. I want the labor installation hours for each product, Now listen and listen to me very well. Assuming, for example, Mwalimu here was to be paid for each hour that he teaches. And assuming, of course, here we teach for free, but I'm assuming if, for example, the rate per hour for Mwalimu is 200, assuming it's 200. And then I teach, for example, in a given day, I teach 8 hours. So then my total pay will be 200 times 8 to give me 1,600. Yes. But now remember, this is a situation where they have given us the pay. The pay is given for each product, and they have given me the rate. So what are we saying? We are saying that the total pay will be equal to the rate times hours. So in short, they have given me the pay, they have given me the rate, they intend me to give them the hours. So to get the hours for sure, I'll come and take the pay, we divide by the rate. So please take the pay here, you divide by the rate. Whenever you see rate per hour and you want to get hours, take this one here, divide by the rate, divide by the rate like that. That was the confusing thing that so many students were not able to twist the examiner. The examiner twisted them. They were not able to twist right back. So give us the labor hours for each product. So is there anybody who is able to get for us the labor hours here for A? For A, how many hours here for A? How many hours for A? So A, they are telling me is 3. A is 3. How about boy? Boy is 4. Boy is 4. How about, I was almost saying, how about girl? No. How about C? C should be 44 divided by 8, which is 5.5. Thank you, and thank you very much. These will come in handy later. But now remember, first things first. Remember, we said if it's a question of key limiting factor where there is scarcity, the first thing that you need to do is to come and give us contribution margin. The first thing we need to do is to come and ascertain the contribution margin for each product. So please give us the contribution margin, which you guys keep on telling me often. It's price minus variable cost. So we have product A, product B, product C. So ABC. So ABC, are you able to see the contribution margin for A? So for A, what will I do? I'll take 250 minus all these are variable cost. Remember, labor, variable overhead. Those will be what here, somebody? Those will be variable cost. By the way, in this question, have I jumped material cost? Do we have material cost in this question? Do we have material cost in this question? Somebody who has that question, do we have material cost? Where is it? Where is material cost? Where is material cost? 70, 110, 155. Is it given expressly in the question? After labor manufacturing, okay, after labor manufacturing, I'm being told, Mwalimu, there is something very important that you have left. Material. Yeah, because materials will always be there. Material cost. So somebody tells me it is 70, 110, 70, 110, and then 155. So then could you be kind enough by giving me the contribution margin for A? I know the biggest mistake that so many students of mine engage in. They'll tell you that it should be 250 minus just variable overhead. That variable overhead is the only variable cost that we have. No, variable cost, we have labor, material, and the variable overhead. Variable overhead is a component of variable cost, is a component. So could you kindly subtract 250 minus 16? Don't say divide by. Now you are subtracting cost, the entire cost from the revenue. Should be 250 minus 16 minus 24 minus 40 minus 70. Please give me the contribution margin for A. So for A, Damaris tells me it is 100. For A, Damaris tells me it is 100. How about boy? How about boy? How about boy? Boy, I'm told again is 100. How about cow? 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 Boy, I'm told is 103, not 100. So boy is 103. How about cow? How about cow? Cow is, oops. Others are saying boy is 102. Others are saying it's 103. Which way do I follow? Which way do I? Most of them are saying it's 102. So 102 should be correct. How about cow? How about cow? $163. Damaris says it is supposed to be 163. Kumbukeni, ukitafuta contribution margin, hakunanga ubaguzi wa rangi. Wengi semester walisema ikiwa ni contribution margin, variable cost, at subtract variable costs za labor installation, because labor installation they're the only one which is what here, and they're the only one which is a discuss. Hapana, katika contribution margin hakuna ubaguzi wa rangi. So Ruth, I can see Ruth, your hand is up. I would really request that you raise your point in the text message. Text message. Ruth, kindly try to type your message. 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 Right? Ruth says labor manufacturing cost for B is 55. Labor manufacturing cost for B, according to Ruth, this is supposed to be 55. Is that true? Please, if it's true, tell me it's true. If you're able to see that question, if it's true, we just write 55 there, we move on. Then it says she has confirmed it's 55. So for B, it's supposed to be 55. So then if that is the case, will this change? Will this change? Will this change? For boy, will it change? 103. So now the correct one, should it be 101 or 103? The correct one here. When you take 320 minus 20 minus 2 minus 55 minus 110. So the math is now, they have gone back to 103. They have gone back to 103. 320, 50, 52, 52. Please use your calculators. Use your calculators. I don't have a calculator. I don't have a calculator at all. I like what no one is saying. I wish everybody could have it like what no one is telling us there. There is a student calling himself or herself, no one, that these figures will not affect our understanding. Put any figure there, Mwalimu, and move on. Yes. So I would want to put here 103, and then we move on. 103, and then we move on. So from there, of course, I'll come and pick the scarce resource. The scarce resource here will be labor installation. Labor installation, whose labor hours already we have. Okay. Whose labor hours we have. So 3, we have 4, we have 5.5. So please go ahead and give us CM per labor hour. Per labor hour. Give us CM per labor hour. Give us CM per labor hour. Give us CM per labor hour. So we are dividing, right? 100 divided by 3. 100 divided by 3. 100 divided by 3. That gives me 33.2. What here, somebody? 33.3. 103 divided by 4. 103 divided by 4. 103 divided by 4. 103 divided by 4. 25.75. 25.75. And then we have 163 divided by 5.5. 163 divided by 5.5 gives us what figure? 29.64. 29.64. So please, given that, could you kindly go ahead and rank? Go ahead and rank. Go ahead and rank. Remember, the higher the CM per unit of scarce resource, the higher the better. So which one takes number una? Which one takes up number 1? Which one takes up number 1? Which one takes up number 1? So number 1, I'm being told this is the highest. Number 1, this becomes number 2. This becomes number 3. Ladies and gentlemen, after you do that kind of a wonderful job, could you be at a position of knowing how to prepare the optimal production schedule? Could you be at a position of knowing how to prepare the optimal production schedule? The optimal production schedule. So optimal production schedule. So the optimal production schedule, the optimal production schedule, what do we have? We have here A, these are the products. So products, we have A, we have a cow, we have a boy. So we have in this case here the maximum demand, or just the demand. Is there anybody who can tell us what the demand of A is? Is there anybody who can tell us what the demand of A is? 5,000, demand of A. Demand of A is 5,000. How about demand of product C? Demand of product C. Demand of product C. A is 2,000. I'm being told A is 2,000. Sorry for that. How about cow, product C? Product C, product C, product C. Product C is 1,800, not 18,000. We changed that, remember? 1,800. How about boy? Boy. Boy. Demand for boy. Demand for boy is 3,000. So now, ladies and gentlemen, the moment you have that, what you need to do is to come and look at the limiting factor. You do an analysis of the limiting factor. So the limiting factor, remember, hours were the labor hours. Installation, not all the labor hours, but installation. So for A, we know the labor hours are 3 there. For cow, we know the labor hours are 5.5. For boy, we know that the labor hours, boy, they are 4. So please multiply these two to give us the total labor hours, because those are labor hours per unit. Multiply the 2. Please, please. So 2,000 times 3, that gives me 6,000, 6,000, 6,000. And then we have 1,800 times 5.5. 1,800 times 5.5 is 9,900. And then the last one will be 3,000 times 4, which gives us 12,000, isn't it? So in total, how many labor hours do we need? Veni tells me 27,900. Veni tells me 27,900. 27,900. Veni tells me 27,900. So 27,900. These are the hours needed in total. And how many do we have in this case here which are available? Hours available are how many? Hours available are how many? We're told in the question, hours that were available were 25,000. Are you able to see some scarcity? Are you able to see some deficit? 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 Yes. So the deficit hours are at 2,900. 2,900. They're 2,900, meaning that if we have got some deficit, we must make some alteration, some adjustment up there. And remember what we discovered ourselves, that these adjustments, ladies and gentlemen, we can't start from the best ranked product. We always start from the worst ranked product. Fortunately, the hours that we have here for the worst ranked product are able to absorb these 2,900 in full. So my step box will not be too many, only once. So what is 12,000 minus 2,900? What is 12,000 minus 2,900? 9,100. So now, having discovered that this is 9,100, what do you think will be the next way forward? The next step forward, next step forward, next step forward, next step forward. Given that I've been able to reduce this 12,000, what do you think will be the next step forward? Next step forward, next step forward, next step forward, next step forward, next step forward. Change the quantity of product B. This quantity has to be changed. Let it be B. It has to be changed to reflect now the new resources available. So therefore, B times 4 should be equal to 9,100. Therefore, B will be 9,100 divided by 4, which will end up giving me what figure, somebody? 2275. 2275, like that. And therefore, the optimal quantity. And therefore, the optimal quantity. And therefore, the optimal quantity. Therefore, the optimal quantity, and therefore, the optimal quantity, therefore, the optimal quantity in this case here will be AC boy. The optimal quantity will be these ones that were demanded here. We're not reducing them at all. 2,000. We have 1,800. For cow, we have reduced. Not cow, but boy. Boy, we have reduced to 2275, like that. And then the profit, what do you think shall we do to get the profit? Do we remember the equation? It's all about getting total contribution. It's all about getting total contribution. It's all about getting total contribution. It's all about getting total contribution, yes. So to get profit, we'll need total contribution minus fixed cost. So I'll need the CMs. I'll need the CMs. Is there anybody who has the CM figure for A? 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 Yeah, A, CM, remember, A is 100. CM, contribution margin. A is 100. C is 10. 103 is B. Don't confuse. Don't confuse. I want for C. C, I'm being told, is 163. C, I'm being told, is 163. How about boy? Boy is 103. So could you kindly come and multiply the two metrics very fast, and then you give me the total contribution. You give me the total contribution down there. You give me the total contribution. Give me the total contribution down there. Give me the total contribution down there. Is there anybody who can run as fast as an 8-year-old does? Anybody who can run as fast as possible to give me the total contribution, to give me the total contribution. Total contribution will be equal to who? Total contribution will be equal to who? Total contribution will be equal to 276,450. 276,450. Can someone else confirm that figure? 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 Seemingly, that figure is not correct. Seemingly, 576, 225, 576, 225. This is the total contribution. Then come under less the fixed cost. Come under less the fixed cost. Come under less the fixed cost. The money is saying no. The total is supposed to be 727. I think Damaris can't cheat. I think Damaris cannot cheat. 727, 725. I think Damaris can't cheat. 727, 725. So then from there, come and less fixed costs were given by the examiner of 450,000. Fixed costs were given by the examiner was 450,000. Fixed cost given by the examiner was 450,000. and 50,000. Is that okay? 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 Yes. So come and give me, when you subtract here less fixed cost, you'll be able to get profit of 200 and something, profit of 277,725, 277,725. Thank you, and thank you very much. And that is the answer. And now we have come to the end of our today's class.